Now it's time for Perspective on today's programme. And my guest today is a man who began his mission in life, if you like, at the age of just 6. Now that mission is to provide access to clean water, sanitation services and hygiene already to thousands and thousands of people. The aim to help build a new equitable world through clean water and sanitation, leaving each community it works with empowered and self-sufficient. His charity, Ryan's Well Foundation, now supports projects in 17 different countries across the globe. Well, Ryan Hreljac is founder and chief executive director, and he joins us now. Thanks for being with us on the programme today. I talked about you starting this at a young age. Before we chat, just let's prove that, shall we? Have a look at this, a rather younger Ryan.
It all started when I was really in grade 1, when my grade 1 teacher was talking about people who didn't have toys, Nintendo, or even clean water. And she explained that people were dying because they didn't have clean water. And that just gave me a bad feeling inside.
I don't know how many times you've seen that clip. It must be a few, I can imagine. I mean, it does prove, doesn't it, that you really got the bug for this an awfully long time ago. How did it come about? Tell us the story.
Well, it was just a simple school project. I mean, we were 6 and 7 years old, so we were still learning the basics of how to live life. But I had the conception that life was fair and that things were like my classroom, where things were shared and things were equal. But to hear that that wasn't the case, and there were kids that couldn't even go to school because of clean water, kind of put a very sour pit in my stomach. But I was beginning to understand money, and my teacher said, "Oh, this amount of money will help, install a pump that will help things." So I figured I'd try to do something about it and did little chores, which ended up to finding out more about the world's water crisis, which, as you may guess, is a lot more complicated than doing some chores to raise some funds for your parents. So
yeah, they made you work for it, didn't they, your parents?
I originally thought I would just get the money because I thought I would be rewarded for thinking of someone else. But no, my folks said, no, you got to earn it. You got to do extra chores around the house, to only find out that it was going to be more complicated every step of the way. But, I was lucky. I was naive enough to think that I really could make a difference and that I could end up bringing the world clean water. And it was with that attitude that it ended up doing a lot of good, where now we've been able to help over 1.5 million people get access to clean water on the mind of a kid.
Why do you think then it was this issue that kind of sparked all this off in you in the first place? What was it that really struck your mind?
Well, I always thought of something, we did lots of charity things at my school growing up. Like every year we did a charity project, and that year we were raising money for specific things that kids needed. And when my teacher tried to explain to us water and why it was an issue, that kids couldn't go to school because their job was to go collect water for their families, it struck me as crazy, because I always thought of going to school was just something you had to do, but to see it as a privilege and that kids wanted to, but they weren't allowed to because they had to collect water for their families, for cooking and cleaning and the 100 things you need water for to survive. It struck me as completely unfair and opposed to what I was taught. But, my teacher was laying something out for me that I could try to do something to help the issue. So I was lucky I was naive enough to think that I could. And, I wouldn't have never done that now as a 33-year-old man. But when we're kids, when we're youth, we have the idea to see solutions and jump on them. And sometimes they can end up doing a lot of good.
So tell us what you've been able to achieve then over the past, almost 30 years now, I suppose.
Yeah, we've been lucky. We've been doing work now for 26 years, and the foundation's been around for 22, and we've been able to do work that's helped over 1.5 million people get access to clean water. And it's been a journey of discovery. We've, tried to make the work sustainable every year, make sure it's going to the people that need it most. And, we've been able to build really good connections with on the ground local partners to help make change actually happen, because water is one of those important things that can get people out of extreme poverty, where they can go to school, not worry about having to get sick so they can go to work, and is the building block for a healthy life. So we're so fortunate for support from all over the world and helping us get clean water to people who need it most.
So 1.5 million people helped, but of course there are still many, many others who still need help, aren't there?
Yeah, there's over 1 billion people in this world that still don't have access to a proper, safe, clean water source, and it affects so many things in life. And like I said, it's a complicated problem. When I first started fundraising money, there was a huge issue of sustainability, making sure that the money got to where it needs to go, and those are all still very much issues. So we can't look at issues like this blindly and just, throw money at it or assume it will take care of itself. There's a lot of complexity, but at the same time, there's such a benefit to helping people with something so simple. So we're going to continue with it for the future, and hopefully one day the world will have all clean water.
Yeah, you say something so simple. I mean, it does seem crazy, doesn't it, in this world with the technology that exists in the world, that there are people who still don't have access to water.
It's wild to think about. Sometimes we put the cart ahead of the horse, and we get ahead of ourselves in thinking of all the things that we need to do to improve society in the most complex ways. When for some people it's as simple as water, and for a lot of places in the world and developing areas, things are getting better in terms of development, in terms of the cities, and opportunities are there for young people, for people who are willing to take the initiative. But there's people in the rural areas that are being left behind, women, seniors, and people who are still suffering because of lack of clean water and can live a lot healthier lives. So those are the people we try to help, and that there's the support left, the support needed.
And as you say, it's not just about providing the machinery as well, is it? It's also talking to local people and trying to get governments and people who live in different areas to put in an effort as well at the same time.
Yeah, there was a crazy statistic in the 90s when I first started fundraising where they figured about over 80% of water work done by government and aid organizations, over 80% didn't work within a year, because it was done with this idea that if you just pump enough money and you do enough work, then the rest will take care of itself, which didn't work at all. Because if you're putting in a well or a basic water solution, you need people invested in taking care of the project and fixing it if it breaks and giving them the tools to make that happen. So that didn't all happen automatically. And when we start a project, we do over a year planning to make sure that those things are in place, so that light well or water project doesn't last a year, it lasts a lifetime. But if you're not willing to do that legwork with people on the ground, then what you're doing could have an adverse effect even. So you want to make sure that you're taking the steps from the very beginning to make sure it's lasting. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's great to talk to you on the programme today. Thank you very much, and good luck with your future work. It sounds like you're going to continue with it for many more years to come as well. Thanks very much, Ryan Hreljac, founder and executive director of Ryan's Well Foundation. Thanks.